Okay, hey, what's up, y'all? I don't know what the heck I was going to say there. I'm so used to saying my little intros there. So I wanted to do a quick recap of our third meeting and some really simple, basic additions to what we've been doing so far as I'm sitting here drinking my Topo Chico. But up to this point, ideally, theoretically, what we've been doing to kind of help us through this month has been getting very clear on what it is that we want, a vision for ourselves, specifically as it revolves around this thing that we're trying to work with, right? Um, we also talked about last meeting how important it is to cultivate the skill of noticing our urge coming on, or our craving, or our addiction, or whatever it is. And the best way to cultivate that skill is through meditation, like a sitting practice. And I think, if you haven't been to some of my classes on it, I think most people don't really understand what meditation is and what it's supposed to be for. Holly and I sat the other day, and it was great. We just got to talk some concepts and stuff. Mindfulness is the implementation practice, the daily, day to day implementation of the skill that you cultivate in meditation. Therefore, a meditation sitting session should be practice for your mindfulness that you're using throughout the day. And if you're not sure how that works, I've got videos. You can reach out to me. I'm here to support you in every and any way that I can, okay? But we cultivate the skill to notice our urges and cravings and addictions through meditation. And then once we have the skill, we're using it by looking for that urge to show up. And as soon as we notice it, in the noticing, we should celebrate because in the noticing, temporarily, we've given it some space. We've kind of delayed it or paused it. And then we can work with it and reframe it. This is why it's important to have that vision for yourself. You can sit there and I have to do this most days. I sit there and I think about, okay, what do I really want? I want to see myself crawling into bed, feeling lean and mean. I want to see myself waking up tomorrow, knowing that I did the right thing and I feel freaking amazing from it. I want to see myself in the kitchen making food and all this stuff. And that picture and that vision and that feeling is without this thing that I'm trying to work with here. So, but the first step is the noticing, coming back, giving it some space, thinking about what it is that you really want. And I definitely want us to always celebrate in that noticing because that awareness step is the first and most important step in making any kind of change, especially when we're dealing with a negative habit that we're trying to kind of work with, right? We also talked a little bit about navigating social situations, and yes, you want to set yourself up for success, but we also want to learn how to go out and enjoy ourselves without this thing, whatever it is. So the main new thing that we wanted to talk about at this last meeting was developing an evening routine or an afternoon and evening routine because I think the afternoons and evenings for most of us is where we have that craving and urge the most because during the day most of us are busy with work and we got other responsibilities. So I just wanted to say a few things here and I'd love for everyone's feedback and to chime in on this. Solid afternoon routines are really powerful, especially if you're creating it around that sticky time or that time that you know that you're going to have your little issue. So definitely still using that four-step process of noticing, coming back, focusing on what you want, focusing on what you can do in the moment. But then also, I think it's useful to give yourself a drop dead time for this thing. Let's just take alcohol for an example. I will not, in my mind, my drop dead time is 2 hours before bedtime. That's the latest that I would ever let myself consume something. And so this afternoon routine can help me get through the time that it takes to get to that cutoff time because at that drop dead time, I'm like, all right, I made it. It's pointless now. Um, Also, you can plan around that sticky point to have another activity in place. So if you know that your sticky point is 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 3:30 in the afternoon, then plan on being somewhere and doing something else where you don't have access to this thing. And a lot of times that helps move you through that little sticky point. Right? And a lot of times too, you feel yourself really enjoying yourself without that thing. So that would be a great way to kind of cultivate an afternoon routine that is built around that difficult time. And then when it comes to an evening routine to facilitate really good sleep, if you have a good evening routine and because of it you're having really good sleep and you feel really good the next day, like that's leverage and motivation to continue to do that evening routine. The first thing that I recommend most people do is put an alarm on your phone for 2 hours, hour and a half, minimum of an hour before bedtime. But I like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And when that alarm goes off, that is your indicator to start to wind down, right? And when you see that alarm, you can't unsee it, right? So every time it goes off, I see my phone, it's flashed, and I gotta go over there and do something with it, or else it keeps going. And when I see it, it's like, oh, time to start getting ready for bed. And even though I know that I want to do that around that time, seeing that alarm, that's like an unconscious cue. I've just read and told my body to do this. So whether I consciously work towards that or not, at an unconscious level, my body has already seen that message. And it's like an embedded command. Okay, so an alarm on the phone is really powerful. Hour and a half, 2 hours before bedtime. I do not recommend vegging out and watching TV and being on, Netflix and stuff like that after that time. Although sometimes, maybe we'll watch a documentary or something. What is useful is during that time is just it's time to yourself, getting ready for the next day, cleaning up the kitchen or something like that, keeping yourself a little bit busy and occupied. If you are going to watch something, make sure you have blue light blocking glasses on to filter out that blue light and bright light. And then we've really fallen in love with this little process of an hour and a half before bed, the alarm goes off. We are at the dog park, letting the dogs play. We come back, we straighten up, we kind of get ready for the next day. We clean the kitchen, we lay our stuff out, and then we make some tea. And in that tea, I have a little bit of honey, a little bit of collagen powder. I take a couple sleep supplements that I'm experimenting with right now, and if you want to know what those are, let me know. I can get you some. They're awesome. And it's really relaxing. We go back, we sit up in bed, we reflect on the day. Reflection questions are great. Like, what are the great things that happened to me today? What would I do different if I could go back in time? And then we just like to go through the day like a movie and say, okay, what was great about today? And we start from the time we get up, and we just kind of tell it like a story. We're sitting there, came to the, oh my God, that was so funny when we did this this morning. Like, oh yeah, we go through here. Oh man, my client at 10 o'clock. I can't even wait to tell you this. Blah, blah. And you just kind of go through your day like a movie, and you're both sharing as you're going through that, or you both do it separately. We love to do that. That's so great. And it turns out to be such a great evening situation simply because we're not numbing out, we're not coming back from a buzz. It feels great. So, and then if we have dessert, we usually have that dessert somewhere in that little time frame, hour window before bed. We'll usually do like a little bit of my homemade fudge or a little bit of fruit or something like that. So, all right. So big new things, big takeaways. Again, would love your comments and feedback. Is developing an afternoon routine around your sticky point and developing an evening routine that is a little bit more healthful and conducive to sleep. All right. All right. We'll talk to y'all soon.